Hello, darling. I'm gonna get into a tarot reading. It doesn't matter what your zodiac sign is or anything of that nature. I'm just gonna pull some cards, talk about a storyline that I'm connected to, and you can tell me if that's you or not. You can tell me how. I'm gonna let you know what comes in intuitively, as well as explain the reason as to why why I'm saying what it is I'm saying during my tarot readings as well. I always say that my readings are collaborative, and that not only do I educate you a little bit, at least in my perspective of tarot, so you have an understanding of how you would apply certain puzzle pieces together in your life. I always speak in examples, analogies there, right? Maybe something will connect to you. Maybe there will be a confirmation somewhere in these messages today. But yeah, let's just get into this and see what's going on here. We have the Ace of Cups coming in here in the reverse. I do read reversals, by the way, friend. I just don't feel like you need to see the cards upside down. But we have the King of Swords, as well as the Ace of Cups in the reverse, with the Ace of Wands and Justice energy. So the story that I get for this person here is somebody that extremely self-aware. I feel like the importance, and I'm not just here to stroke your ego, friend. But I feel like the importance of this King of Swords showing up, you could have a Libra in your chart there, right? We're about to get into Libra season because of that justice. But to me, it really just highlights your intellect, your perception of what's right and what's wrong in the world. You could have a little bit more of a wholesome view of things and of people, perhaps, and that might be a little bit of a struggle for you when it comes to how you move in the world. I wouldn't be surprised, because you are definitely somebody that wears their heart on their sleeve there. You really function from a place of, if we're really gonna go into those terminologies, right? Like your inner child, friend, you wanna, it's like you really try to celebrate or put a spotlight on the wholesome aspect of how you move through the world. It's like you can be extremely street smart, right? King of Swords, Justice energy, like you're not dumb, but at the same time, you are in this position where you don't want to have to be cynical. You don't want to have to think about people in certain ways. And so it's like, well, in your head, you know how people are, but you still give them a chance. So you're probably someone that has a long list of people that you've given like 20 different chances to. Maybe even right now while you're watching this video, you're thinking about a couple different people, and maybe thinking about the idea of sending them a double, triple text there. All right. No shame in the game, friend. No shame in the game. I don't know. It just feels as if your heart gets you into a lot of trouble, and it's like you are self-aware or smart enough to know, what it is that what you dabble into is for trouble there. But it's like you're still insistent on those two aces to guide you there. Like you're making the conscious choice of, giving the benefit of the doubt to people that, may or may not give the benefit of the doubt to you there, right? So you should know good enough and well by now this is your story. We'll take a look in regards to, that seems to be the tone of this energy. So we'll take a look at your social life here, what seems to be going on right now, and the current trajectory of things. Now, obviously, I don't know your situation in specific, but hopefully this will give you some perspective, some food for thought on, some of the people that are in your life or will be coming into your life or will be leaving your life, perhaps. I guess we'll find out in a moment. We have here the High Priestess, Nine of Cups, as well as the Four of Cups here. Ace of Pentacles, there's that darn ace, my friend. I speak about it in a negative way, but it's actually positive, right? Having that these aces here, it's like there's not really much editing that you need to do when it comes to your life's journey. Maybe there's been a lot of plan B's and C's all the way to F's and G's and stuff of that nature, right? That you've had to fall back on, some rerouting that's had to happen in your life. But it just feels to me as if you've always been pretty on par with like what you need to do overall. Again, it's like any lessons that you've repeated, it's almost like you are choosing to take the gamble with hoping that this time around someone will be different. You're hoping that this next friendship is going to be different. This next person you give your heart to, even though, love is a dangerous game. Love is a losing game, Amy Winehouse. You still hold out. you probably go through those phases of being pretty cynical there with that Four of Cups. It does let me know that, especially when emotions are high due to relationships in your life, that's when you're most shut off spiritually, as from receiving messages from God, the universe, what you believe in, friend. So that's something I think you need to, keep yourself in check about, as you are choosing to entertain these social relationships. Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's like you are aware that any lesson that you had to repeat, it's because you, on some level, made the choice. The wholesome part in you made the choice. That ace on your sleeve made the choice in taking that gamble and be like, okay, maybe they're going to be different this time around. Maybe that person I choose to give my heart to is going to not betray me this time. And when you get into those cynical places when it doesn't pan out in your favor, I just think it's really important for you to keep in mind to not become cynical towards your beliefs, right? Easier said than done sometimes, especially when we're talking about your heart being invested into people, especially when you might add some spiritual significance to somebody in your life. And that's what I feel like we're connected to today, is somebody that has been clouding your thoughts quite a bit. It feels to me as if you're trying to understand why your spiritual team chose to connect you with a certain individual. What is their purpose? If the purpose isn't some type of happily ever after, right? I'm assuming that is the case if they're going to be bringing this up here, right? Queen of Pentacles in the reverse. So it's almost as if, like, with this relationship, there's this personal sacrifice that you have to make. It's interesting. It's like and we haven't even gone into the emotion of it at all, like the lover's energy. But it's like, in order for you to allow this person in your life and to take up space in your emotional garden, you have to sacrifice some things. It's like you have to uproot other aspects in your garden, other vegetables, other crops in your garden there, other plants, to make that one thing worth it. And you're still choosing to take a gamble. It's like you're taking like that avocado seed that you don't know if it's going to bear fruit or not. And you got a long ways to go to wait until if you find out if it actually will, And so you are in this position where it's like, all right, is the juice worth the squeeze, essentially? Is what you're getting out of the relationship worth the personal sacrifices that you have made, are going to make, are at this position, perhaps at a crossroads when it comes to this person here, of do you choose to keep them in your life or do you choose to walk away entirely? I think you really struggle with knowing like what is the next correct move for you, especially considering that High Priestess we pulled for you in the reverse, like what we were just talking about, where it's like when the emotions are really involved with people, that's where you have your most spiritual blindness there. So it's like you really do feel like during those moments you're just left out on your own, it's like you're tossed into the deep end of the pool and the universe just walks away and lets you figure yourself out there. I will tell you, Page of Cups showing up here in the back of the deck, I don't think there's any right answer to this. I feel as if you need to think about it from a place of, how badly do you like avocados? Because, well, yes, you could potentially be really happy with those avocados. And I'm not saying that avocado tree will or won't bear fruit. There's a high likelihood, right? Your spiritual team is obviously not saying to uproot it, and the Hierophant showing up as well. It's always, of course, it's that type of answer, friend, that it's annoying when you get it from the universe, when you're trying to get some clarity and they give you just some type of, not necessarily vague answer, but at the same time, you just sometimes want to be just told what to do, and it's never the case, right? And so it's more about like, how bad do you like avocados, because your spiritual team's not telling you to uproot this, right? So there's clearly some type of value we can get from this connection here, whatever it is that you're dealing with, whoever it is, rather. But you have to, if you are going to pursue that, you have to change your mindset with this person here, right? In terms of how you move, right? Just because you have to uproot some things in your garden to plant that avocado seed to have it grow, let's be a little bit more intentional about this. Let's set some guidelines. Let's set some boundaries. Let's set some house rules, right? You have to go into this understanding that, so that way you are approaching that Queen of Pentacles, that personal sacrifice that you will have to make with this, and probably already have made with them there, that it's more from a balanced place, because right now it feels as if this is actively depleting you. When you have it in the reverse, that Queen of Pentacles in the reverse, it's never too fabulous, right? But then we also acknowledge that Page of Cups, if I can find it here. Oh, there it is. Then we also have to acknowledge that Page of Cups, the other path there, where it's essentially saying there, if you were to choose a new route, that place in your garden that you have been patient towards this entire time, if you choose to uproot it and have that empty plot there, this is essentially saying that your spiritual team, the universe, has someone else in mind for you that they could connect you to. Even the literal meaning of the Page of Cups is a new person entering your life. It also acknowledges the deepening of a current connection, but in this case here, because that showed up in the back of the deck there, that's the energy that you're not seeing currently. Right? And it kind of all pieces together when you think about it, where, you know, especially when the emotions are involved, that's where you feel you're most out of touch with your spiritual team, you know, your intuition of like, what is the next right move for you? And then you can't see what your spiritual team has in mind for you if you were to change up your path there. Now, I'm not going to tell you what you should do. You know, I never believe like a tarot reading online should ever just tell you what you should do in your personal life, but I do think that there's something to think about there. I think if we're going to look into this Page of Cups energy a little bit more, we have the 3 and 7 of Pentacles with the 6 of Wands here, as well as the 5 of Swords here. Now, if you are going to lean more into this new energy, my friend, there's going to still need to be something different when it comes to what you welcome in new-wise. All right, and this might be like an aha moment for you, where you might realize, being like, oh, this is why I've been struggling with facilitating relationships in my life that last a decent amount of time there, is because you're not changing up the guidelines, you're not changing up the protocol for the relationships you not only allow into your life, but also like where you're casting your net out, right? If you're fishing, right, you know, and you keep on getting the same type of fish, but you never choose to move waters, you never choose to move positions, can you really expect to get any other type of fish there, right? Leaning into that Page of Cups of energy more, it feels to me as if this is somebody that you would be meeting through some type of mutual interest because of that 3 of Pentacles. There is this acknowledgement as well with that 6 of Wands there, friend, that you would have to play the extrovert a little bit. And while I'm not telling you that you have to stop and talk to every person down the street or anything like that, but there has to still be a conscious effort from your side to bring in this Page of Cups energy. Your spiritual team can let you know they can connect you to somebody just as valuable, if not more, but they can't just have them knocking on your door. You know, you have to put yourself out there on some level, even for my friends that are a little bit resistant of going out there, because anytime I talk about how you need to leave the house, there's always somebody that has an excuse for why they can't or won't. You know, and that's, you know, I know everyone's circumstances are different there, but I'm just simply the messenger, darling. I feel as if this is a connection that 7 of Pentacles, it feels to me as if like you don't have a problem with making connections, it's more about the longevity of them. And that's really what your spiritual team is highlighting here with that 7 of Pentacles, is the longevity of it. So, you know, what do you want to do? Do you want to lean into that Page of Cups energy, or do you want to still see what things are going to be like and lean more into that Queen of Pentacles with that connection there? What are they to you? Are they romantic? Are they platonic, friend, family, you know, work? You know, what's the tea? But let's get into the next part of your reading. Let's talk more so just about your general life, what's going on there. You know, what can we be expecting outside of the social? Because, you know, if you're anything like me, friend, I try to have my social life be like a 10% influence, if not less, of what I choose to do in my life. So when it comes to social readings, it doesn't really mean too much to me, you know, but, you know, sometimes having a tarot reading, especially when it comes to your relationships, is important there. And it seems like that is the case for you regardless, even if you are resistant towards it, my hermit. We have for you the 2 of Cups, 7 of Cups showing up once again, and then that 9 of Pentacles here. And then the back of the deck is the Temperance here as well. You're not going to be doing this alone. All right, that's the message that comes out here. It feels to me as if, and this makes sense, this correlates with the collective I've been connecting to recently. So hello again. But you're not going to be doing this alone here. All right. And I know when you first receive this message, you're just being like, okay, Velca, like, please. It's like, give me something of substance, right? But that's like the first thing I can really tell you. When you look at that Knight of Pentacles energy, they're somebody that goes through a lot of uncharted territory. So you've probably been at a decent journey of your life, and I'm talking years, where it's just been a lot more loss than gain in a lot of perspectives. I mean, maybe you gain a lot of character building, a lot of experience, but it does feel as if, as some examples, it's like you could at one point and say that your longest relationship or your longest friendship was X amount of years, current rather, and then if you were to answer that same question now, you'd be like, years, months, it feels to me as if when it comes to, I don't know, it feels like it's been a long time since you've been able to like invest your roots into anything. It feels like anytime you may have had like 1 or 2 attempts, and this is what I get intuitively, where you try to set up camp for longer, but then it just feels like that brooding process was just made it just a little bit more traumatic. So now you've gotten a lot better at dealing with the uncertainty of it all. Not that you want to. Perhaps I definitely feel like you don't want to, but you have learned how to get comfortable in the chaos of your life right now. But is it going to end? That's what I'm curious about. Is it going to end? And I was saying here before, it's like, I'm not going to touch on this too much here, but going back to what I started this out with, you're not going to be doing this alone, is that 2 of Cups and 2 of Cups coming in here is a message of where in the foreseeable future, you're going to be, how would I put it? In the foreseeable future, you're going to be having a few people join you alongside in your journey here, but there's still a few more steps, that's what I feel. It's like there's still a few more steps that has to be taken there. Temperance energy. So let's take a look into like what that could be. I will just say though, like again, like you may have been approaching your healing journey or just like your own personal progression from a very introspective place. High priestess there, even if it's not from like a literal human standpoint, and maybe it's just more so getting back in tune with your spirituality, which is something that, I kind of been hinting at throughout your reading actually, now that I think about it. You can't do this alone, and you won't be doing this alone. You probably aren't doing it alone. You haven't been doing it alone up until this point, even if you have had periods where you have felt like you're doing it alone. There, right? So it doesn't have to be about people, but I will just say, like, you can't try to like hunker down and keep on approaching things as what you've been used to, where it's just you yourself, and even if life has taught you that, include more in the process there. Be willing to accept help when it's offered to you, and sometimes the only way that it can be offered to you is for you to walk out the door a little bit, right? Whether it's figuratively or literally, right? But there has to be that change of approach there, and I think that it is starting to change within you. I do feel as if, I don't know if there's something that you're personally doing, or maybe that's part of like what you've healed from, but I do feel as if there's this general perception of you of more, it just feels like you're being received in a lot more of a tender way. I won't be surprised if you have been noticing your spiritual team, universe, God, whatever, showing up in very specific ways for you recently that are very affirming to you. It does feel as if, because I hear like the words gingerly, so it feels as if like this next chapter of your life, these next few experiences are going to be they're handling you gingerly, handled with care there, but with extra love. But yeah, strength energy. I don't feel like this next chapter of your life is going to be necessarily hard. I think it's going to be hard in a different way. It's going to be hard for you in learning how to receive help. It's going to be hard for you in your relationship with vulnerability, and you only are able to go to these new depths by involving other people in the process. Again, whether that's with humans or whether that's with your higher self or whatever there. This next portion of your journey, you haven't been doing it alone, but especially this next part, Include other people in the process, or be willing to include others in the process there. I like where it is that you're going. I don't think there's really anything I can suggest for you to change in your life other than to, you know, kind of approach that wholesome view. Those aces that you wear on your sleeve, have a little bit more of a balance to it, you know. Don't self-sacrifice too much, you know. That Queen of Pentacles in the reverse is really my biggest concern for you. Is like, stop giving too much of yourself to anything that's not feeding back into you. All right, don't uproot your garden for the possibility of some avocados and making all these sacrifices thinking you're going to get avocados in a shorter time frame. It takes some time. All right, so keep your head up above water, my love, and I will connect to you sometime in the near future.